There was a hearing today. The House Judiciary Committee. It was quite a hearing. And you had our buddy Louis Gohmert. You had our buddy Ron DeSantis, who just finished a wonderful debate against this phony Adam Putnam. Trey Gowdy did very well. Jim Jordan hit it out of the park. Well, keep in mind, the reason why these members are frustrated is because over a period of many, many, many months, they have sought documentation. Now, if you listen to Rosenstein and Wray and the media and the Democrats, everything they want is classified, everything they want is grand jury, everything they want will reveal techniques and so forth and ruin investigations and so forth. That's not true. What happened is these members of Congress who are very serious, or those who are serious about getting to the bottom of these issues, they've been getting head fake after head fake after head fake. So you have redactions of information that should never have been redacted. You have the withholding of information that should never have been withheld. You have the withholding of documents that should never have been withheld. So they cannot take what the Justice Department and the FBI are doing at face value. And after all, they're trying to investigate the Department of Justice and the FBI, the senior levels. So here's a back and forth between Ron DeSantis, who I've endorsed for governor of Florida and in the Republican primary. I mean, he's absolutely outstanding. And Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General. Cut one, go.
August 8th, 2016, text message in the IG report from Lisa Page to Peter Strzok. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right? Peter Strzok responds, no, he's not. We'll stop it. Now, the Justice Department had previously provided text messages from that date. They included all the messages we now have except the "we'll stop it" text message. Why didn't the Justice Department produce that to Congress when we asked?
Mr. DeSantis, I spoke with our Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, yesterday, and he told me that when he testified, he didn't have a full opportunity to explain, and the technological details are pretty complicated, but he assured me he had had a long telephone conversation with Mr. Jordan after the hearing and explained it. He's much better positioned than I. What I can assure you...
So let me just ask this then.
If I could just explain, sir, I want to assure you and the American people, we're not withholding anything embarrassing. The message was not in the original material that Inspector General, he found these messages?
Right, so you guys didn't find it, and he did. And so we're asking you to produce stuff, and obviously, we're expecting a good faith effort. You guys didn't find it, and maybe somebody else deleted or something happened before you guys, but he was able to find it, and you didn't. So it was very disappointing to see that text message there, because I think you would agree. Just think of the timeline here. You have Peter Strzok. He opens up the counterintelligence investigation against Trump's campaign the end of July. Then a week later, this text message, he ain't going to be president, we'll stop it. Then the next week, the infamous insurance policy text message where he says, we can't take the risk of a Trump presidency, you need an insurance policy. The American people see that. Doesn't that undermine the whole integrity of the actions of people like Peter Strzok?
Yes, Congressman, that obviously is highly inappropriate.
Okay. Trey Gowdy and Rosenstein. Cut two, go.
At precisely the same time that Bob Mueller was appointed, precisely the same time, Peter Strzok was talking about his unfinished business and how he needed to fix and finish it so Donald Trump did not become president. He was talking about impeachment within 3 days of special counsel Mueller being appointed. 3 days. That's even quicker than MSNBC and the Democrats were talking about impeaching. Within 3 days, the lead FBI agent is talking about impeaching the president. So this is where we are. We're 2 years into this investigation. We're a year and a half into the presidency. We're over a year into special counsel. You have a counterintelligence investigation that's become public. You have a criminal investigation that's become political. You have more bias than I have ever seen manifest in a law enforcement officer in the 20 years I used to do it for a living. And 4 other DOJ employees who had manifest animus towards the person they were supposed to be neutrally and detachedly investigating. Democrats are using this investigation as a presumption of guilt, which I find astonishing. And in the long run, for the health of this republic, I would encourage them to go back to the presumption of innocence that we used to hold sacred. There's a presumption of guilt. There's a desire by Democrat senators to fundraise off of your investigation. More than 60 Democrats have already voted to proceed with impeachment before Bob Mueller has found a single solitary damn thing. More than 60 have voted to move forward with impeachment, and he hasn't presented his first finding.
But he will, Congressman Gowdy, because Bob Mueller is a fraud. So he will. Trey Gowdy continues. Cut 3, go.
So I'm going to say this to you, Mr. Ray, Mr. Rosenstein. I realize that neither one of you were there when this happened, but you're both there now. Russia attacked this country. They should be the target, but Russia isn't being hurt by this investigation right now. We are. This country is being hurt by it. We are being divided. We've seen the bias. We've seen the bias. We need to see the evidence. If you have evidence of wrongdoing by any member of the Trump campaign, present it to the damn grand jury. If you have evidence that this president acted inappropriately, present it to the American people. There's an old saying that justice delayed is justice denied. I think right now all of us are being denied. Whatever you got, finish it the hell up, because this country is being torn apart.
Either the witnesses care to respond to the...
Well, I would simply respond, Ms. Gowdy. I certainly share your views about those text messages, and nobody is more offended than I about what's reflected in those messages. With regard to the investigation, I've heard suggestions that we should just close the investigation. I think the best thing we can do is finish it appropriately and reach a conclusion. And I certainly agree with you, sir. People should not jump to conclusions without seeing the evidence. I've been the victim of fake news attacks myself, so I'm sympathetic. I agree with you, sir. There's been no allegation made by the Department of Justice or the special counsel other than what's reflected in those documents that are filed publicly, the charged folks. Nobody should draw any conclusions beyond those charges.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Then we have Jim Jordan. And you don't want to miss this. Jim Jordan and Rosenstein. And I want to salute Jim Jordan. But I can't play it until we come back because the clock says I have to break. We'll be right back. Jim Jordan, Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, as promised. Here's the back and forth. Cut 4, go.
Mr. Rosenstein, why are you keeping information from Congress?
Congressman, I'm not keeping any information from Congress that it's appropriate.
In a few minutes, Mr. Rosenstein, I think the House of Representatives is going to say something different.
I don't agree with you, Congressman. I don't believe that's what they're going to say, and if they do, they'll be mistaken.
I disagree, but I think in a few minutes the House of Representatives is going to go on record saying you haven't complied with requests from a separate and equal branch of government, that you haven't complied with subpoenas, and you got 7 days to get your act together. I think that's what's going to happen in a few. And that's not Jim Jordan. I think that's a majority of the House of Representatives. In just a few minutes, I think that's going to happen. And I want to know why you won't give us what we've asked for.
Sir, I certainly hope that your colleagues are not under that impression. That is not accurate, sir. And
it is accurate. We have caught you hiding
Mr. Chairman, can we allow the witness to answer? Mr. Chairman, point of order. We can go to Mr. Jordan's press conference and listen to him, but we came here to hear from the witness.
The time belongs to the gentleman.
Mr. Rosenstein,
can we allow him to answer?
We have caught you hiding information.
Allow him to answer.
He will be permitted to answer when Mr. Jordan.
Why do we have them?
By the way, notice how the Democrats interrupt. Because they're special pleaders for corruption. They're kind of happy that the Obama administration was spying on Trump world. They're kind of happy about the abuse of the FISA court. They kind of like Peter Strzok and his girlfriend Paige. Kind of like them. They like Comey now. They hated him before, but they like him now. Same with McCabe. He was a good leaker. So the ends justify the means. They like all this. Go ahead.
To answer.
Why are they not allowed to answer?
The gentleman's out of order. The gentleman from Ohio is recognized.
Mr. Rose, let me make this one point, then I'll let you answer.
I'd like
let me make this one point where we've caught you hiding information, then you can answer. Why did you hide the fact that Peter Strzok and Judge Contreras were friends? Why did you redact that in the documents you gave to us? Judge Contreras is kind of important. FISA court judge, more importantly, just as importantly, The judge that heard Mike Flynn's case. Why'd you try to hide that from us?
Mr. Jordan, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to respond. I've heard you make those sort of allegations publicly on TV.
I got
and if you let
right
me
here.
respond, sir.
Mr. Chairman, he should be given
Right
the
here.
opportunity.
Now, Mr. Jordan,
It's redacted.
I am the Deputy Attorney General of the United States. Okay? I'm not the person doing the redacting. I'm responsible for responding to your concerns as I have. I have a team with me, sir. It's just a fraction of the team that's doing this work, and whenever you brought issues to my attention, I have taken appropriate steps to remedy them. So your statement that I'm personally keeping information from you, trying to conceal information...
You're the boss, Mr. Rosenstein.
That's correct. And my job is to make sure that we respond to your concerns. We have, sir.
Where are we? Cut 6 now, Mr. Producer? Let's go to cut 5, more Jordan Rosenstein. Go ahead.
But your use of this to attack me personally...
Why did you...
is
It's not
wrong.
personal.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. May the witness be permitted to answer the question?
It's not personal.
The gentleman will suspend. The witness is going to have an opportunity to say whatever he wants at the end of Mr. Jordan's 5 minutes. Until it is not those 5 minutes, they're his time.
I appreciate your service. It's not personal. We just want the information. Why did you tell Peter Strzok not to answer our questions yesterday? When I asked Peter Strzok if he'd ever communicated with Glenn Simpson, he gave us the answer he gave us dozens of times. On advice of FBI counsel, I can't answer that question. Why couldn't he answer that question?
Mr. Jordan, I appreciate your sincere concerns, but I didn't give Peter Strzok any instructions. If there was some problem with the instructions he had, I'll be happy to look into it.
Not what his FBI lawyer said.
Mr. Jordan, when you find some problem with a production or with questions, it doesn't mean that I'm personally trying to conceal something from you. It means we're running an organization that's trying to follow the rules, and we're going to...
You know what was interesting? When I asked him if he'd ever talked to Bruce Orr, he said he had. Said he had 3 times in 2016 and 2017. Then I asked him, have you ever talked to Nellie Orr? And he said, no, I haven't. I said, well, why can you answer that question? Because Nellie Orr worked for Glenn Simpson, worked for Fusion. He could answer that question, but he couldn't answer because FBI counsel told him he couldn't. He couldn't answer the question whether he'd ever communicated with Glenn Simpson, a journalist. Why couldn't he answer that question?
Mr. Jordan, I appreciate you saying it isn't personal. Sometimes it feels that way. How do I know, sir? I mean, not you, sir. I mean, you interviewed Mr. Strzok. I didn't, so I can't...
Works for you. Doesn't work for us.
There are 115,000 people who work for me, sir.
But there aren't 115,000 people like Peter Strzok. And you do have an obligation to know more. Cut 6, go.
Mr. Rosenstein, did you threaten staffers on the House Intelligence Committee? Media reports indicate you did.
Media reports are mistaken.
Sometimes. But this is what they said. Having the nation's #1 law enforcement officer threaten to subpoena your calls and emails is downright chilling. Did you threaten to subpoena their calls and emails?
No, sir, and there's no way to subpoena phone calls.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
He's not really talking about phone calls. He's talking about phone numbers. But that's all right. Go ahead.
Press said. I mean, what the
I
press
would
said.
suggest that you not rely on what the press says, sir.
Well, I didn't ask if there's no way to do it. I asked if you said it.
If I said what?
What I just read you.
No, I did not.
Well, now, who are we supposed to believe? Staff members who we've worked with, who've never misled us, or you guys, who we've caught hiding information from us, who tell a witness not to answer our questions? Who are we supposed to believe?
Thank you for making clear it's not personal, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I didn't. I'm saying the Department of Justice.
Because I'm telling the truth and I'm under oath. If you want to put somebody else under oath and they have something different...
I know these staff members.
Respond.
Well. I wonder if Mr. Rosenstein wonders if he should have taken that job as Deputy Attorney General. You know, it's actually worse than that. He should have recused himself a long time ago, Mr. Rosenstein. We'll be right back.